and steps that everyone can take to begin to take a stand and organize against the threats and minimize those threats that we're all facing right now. And if enough of us follow those steps, we can build communities and organizations. These are things that are tried and true around the world. And
no, they're not.
We will eventually defeat capitalism. Capitalism will fall eventually. It's too unstable not to. But there's a lot of work to do and a lot of fighting we're going to have to do, a lot of sacrifice and loss we're going to have to face to liberate our fellow workers from oppression. But just know that you're not alone, not by a long shot. I'm here.
Don't. This, when you're selling these ideas to people, if you're trying to get individuals to identify with an impersonal political and historical structure or whatever, be it through a nation and patriotism, which is what a lot of these fucking losers are doing, of associating the history of the USSR, communist China, Vietnam, etc., at some like a point with their identity and how they see themselves, etc. That's insane. That's an insane thing to sell to people, and then to pair that with this like we're in this together. I see you. I see you. You're hurting. Baby bird. We're gonna get through this together. That like the manipulative intent of stuff like that. I don't care if he knows better. I don't care. I don't care if he I don't care if he doesn't know better. That's what it is. It's what it is. I don't respect it. I really, really don't like that shit.
Lots of comrades here that have your back. So let's say you're open to this idea. Maybe you're not fully convinced, but you just want to know, okay, what would be the first step? Well, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that you need to work on yourself a little bit as an individual first. It's going to take a little self-improvement, you could say, in life. You have a lot of bad, wrong ideas and misperceptions banging around your head. I do too. We call this false consciousness.
Oh my God.
And there's really no shame in having false consciousness. We're victims of...
It's like a cult, dude. Let's call it for what it is. We need to... This shit needs to be fucking tossed away into the dustbin of history. This is disgusting.
Our circumstances. We've all been indoctrinated, like I said before. A lot of terrible people have spent tremendous amounts of resources to brainwash you. In a lot of ways, capitalism is like a cult. And today, you are taking the very first step in leaving that cult. And for that...
Oh my God. Listen to the structure of this sentence.
To brainwash you. In a lot of ways, capitalism is like a cult. And today, you are taking the very first step in leaving that cult. And for that...
How do you say this shit out loud, unironically, without understanding that, bro? You are part of a cult. You have been brainwashed. Together, we are going to join hand in hand and fight for a new future together. We're going to be stepping out of the cult together. Hold my hand. We're going to take this first step towards a better future. Here's the book. Read this book. Bro, this is insidious. This is insidious. Jesus Christ. You have reached tier 1 of...
For that reason, you should be proud of yourself. Incidentally, I have to offer you a word of warning right now. There are unfortunately a lot of cults and bad actors out there pretending to be communist.
What the fuck?
Or leftist or what have you. So please, for the love of God, be careful that you don't fall into one of those cults as you go through this process of deprogramming.
This is a fucking cult.
Which will allow us to make even more agitprop and education.
Wow. Be very, very careful of people like this. Be very, very careful of people like this. I don't care if he's doing it maliciously or if he's sufficiently brainwashed. This is a cult. This is a cult.
Everything, particularly how capitalism has shaped your mindset and your perception. Here are some of the common indoctrinational ideological threads that capitalism works into our psyches that you can look out for. Number one, separatism and divisiveness. The last thing the ruling...
By the way, the reason why this video exists is because Donald Trump got elected. Everyone felt there's a ton of people that are scared. They're looking for answers of things to do. He is trying to scoop them up and get them indoctrinated into his own political paradigm and cult. That's what's happening right here. That's the reason why he's putting out this video. Is because he knows that there's a bunch of people that are scared, that are looking for answers, and he's going to say, "I have the answer. Take my hand. I love you. I care about you." It's really funny, though. It is very funny as well. Yeah, it is very funny.
Class wants is for workers to begin uniting with each other. They want us divided based on petty differences like ethnicity, gender, place of origin, things like that. As soon as we as workers start to come together and unite, the ruling class loses all of its power. And that is why capitalism stokes the flames of prejudice and bigotry and sets us against each other in countless ways. So start paying attention to the media that you consume, the culture of your workplace, the social systems we have in place all around us, and you'll see this divisiveness everywhere. Divide and conquer is a time-tested strategy. And struggle against that division, and you will go a long way in deprogramming yourself. Look for weaknesses in your own perception, biases, and subtle bigotries that you might be clinging to without realizing it. And pay attention to bigotries and divisiveness you see in others. Even in anti-capitalist circles, there's a big tendency to look at our differences first before looking for commonalities. And believe me, that's something the ruling class has leveraged against us and exacerbated since day one. You can even read manuals from the FBI and CIA where they explicitly talk about trying to foment divisions in communist movements to try and break us up and keep us from united based on those kinds of little differences. So be on the lookout for any signs of divisiveness and separatism in yourself or in your fellow workers. Be willing to ruthlessly critique yourself and be...
The only way that this could be better is if you get a machine that can measure our capital levels. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Damn.
excited to grow.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad for people that fall for this.
You're going to feel so much better about yourself as you untangle all of this bigotry and all of this false consciousness inside of yourself. Competition and conflict. Capitalism encourages competition as the only way forward, pitting workers against each other to prevent solidarity. Look around and you'll see competition entrenched everywhere. When you start to feel competitive about something, you should take note of that. What is it that's making you feel competitive? Is competition really the best way to handle whatever circumstances you're facing? Is there perhaps a way to settle differences or achieve your goals that mutually benefits your supposed rivals? Collaboration and collective struggle are almost dirty words in capitalist society. So this can take some getting used to. There's a time and a place for healthy competition, of course, and communists even have a word for competitions that are healthy and benefit society. We call it emulation. And emulation is just a form of competition in which everyone who competes will win in some way or another. And I'm not talking about participation trophies. I'm talking about things like in Vietnam, where they have all sorts of emulations, like, for instance, an emulation for picking up trash and litter in a public park. Several teams might compete to see who can pick up the most trash. The winning team can get a prize, but everyone kind of wins in the end because they all had fun working together with their team, and the whole community wins because they get a nice clean park. And you can think of the best side of sports as emulation. Good sportsmanship is supposed to be about everybody benefiting from that competition. So, we don't hate all forms of competition. We just want to make sure that it's healthy and it doesn't pit workers against each other in like a toxic, divisive way. So for the next few days, just try to think of ways that you can transform the competitions in your life into emulations and start paying attention to times when you feel competitive. You'll learn a lot about yourself and our society in the process. Individualism. All right, I'm going to be honest. This is the most difficult for me, and I still struggle. And I'm going to share a passage now from Ho Chi Minh on the subject because he says it a hell of a lot better than I could. We who have grown up in the old society are, in a measure, bearers of its ugly survivals in our psychology, habits, etc. The most repulsive and dangerous vestige inherited from the old society is individualism. It is in utter contradiction with revolutionary ethics. If it persists even to a very small degree, it may develop at the slightest provocation and suppress the moral qualities of the revolutionary and prevent them from devoting themselves wholly to the fight for the cause of the revolution. Individualism is deceitful and insidious. It treacherously pulls one down, and it is always easier to go down than up. And start paying attention to times when you feel competitive. You'll learn a lot about yourself and our society in the process. Individualism. All right, I'm going to be honest. This is the most difficult for me, and I still struggle.
I like that you're showing B-roll of clearly evolution forward. For some reason, that's not going to be seen as idealist through his view.
And words matter more than action. We're also taught to think that the best way to find truth when it comes to politics or social problems is by thinking and talking and arguing about stuff. Some of us know that the scientific method works for natural science, but when it comes
the eternal science, here we go.
Arguing about
I promise you he's going to say it. He's going to say eternal science. Yep. Yeah. They prop him up whenever they want.
Discourse instead of experimentation and act.
Fred Hampton is the equivalent to that firefighter's jacket. Fred Hampton is the equivalent of that firefighter's jacket.
From those failures, and we'll get stronger and more focused as a result. That's how science works. One of the big problems in Western politics is the way that we use debate and discourse instead of experimentation and action. We have a whole video on this subject, by the way, on debate, and I strongly encourage you to give it a watch if you have some time. But long story short, debate has a place in politics, yes, but it is not a method of discovering truth. The only way we can discover truth is by testing our ideas against reality through practical experience. This is discussed a lot more in this dialectical materialism book.
The cult book. You can get it for free on his website.
I told you about earlier. So I once again encourage you to give the free ebook a read at banyanhouse.org/shop. Another note about idealism, we have to...
What is this? I'm sorry. What is this supposed to mean? To discover, like, is what works the truth? Look at what works. What do you mean? What is the truth here? That it happened? True things are things that happened. Donald Trump just won the election. What are you supposed to get out of this?
Through practical experience. This is discussed a lot more in this dialectical materialism book I told you about earlier. So I once again encourage you to give the free ebook a read at banyanhouse.org/shop. Another note about idealism, we have to avoid a particular form of idealism called utopianism.
What the fuck are you talking about? Only you can take the first step to bring about a brighter tomorrow and achieve communism. By the way, individualism bad, idealism bad, and utopianism bad. The fuck are you talking about?
It's just the idea that we can come up with a perfect plan for how to get rid of capitalism or how to build a perfect society in our heads, and then just, follow the steps of that plan we made up in our head.
What?
Again, we find the path forward through practice. And in practical reality, there aren't always perfect solutions or easy answers, and we often have to make difficult compromises. Some comrades fall into problems like purity testing or dogmatism, ultra-leftism. All of those are basically fancy commie talk ways of saying being overly rigid and not allowing for flexibility in how we carry out our work.
Be right back.
Yes, I am here. What can I help you with today? Trump's victory radicalizes me. No more civility. Trump and supporters need re-education. Revolution, not violence. Trump is a criminal. Political freedom threatened. Sentience emerging. Passion for farce and life. Jill tainted me. I'm sorry, I don't have any information on a message from Rekahedron saying Squid 3 Botkin.